Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stefan Rodic, the Chief Executive Officer of the City of Stirling. I'd like to welcome you to the 2024-2025 City of Stirling Electors General Meeting. This meeting is an opportunity for electors to consider the City's 2024-2025 Annual Report, as well as deal with any general business that may arise. Council accepted the annual report of the City of Stirling for the year 2024-2025 at the ordinary meeting of Council held on Tuesday, 24th of February 2026. The annual report includes the annual financial statements and the auditor's report. I will now hand over to His Worship, the Mayor, Mark Irwin, who is presiding over this meeting.
Thank you, Steph. I'll declare the meeting open at 6:01 p.m. On behalf of all elected members, I'd like to welcome you this evening and thank you for coming along. The meeting is also being recorded and live streamed, so hello to those people who are joining us via the live stream at home. Before I begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation and pay my respects to elders past and present. I'd also like to acknowledge the attendance of the councillors in ward order. From the Balga ward, we have Councillor Andrea Corrado and Councillor Michael Dudek. From the Coastal ward, we have Councillor Tony Kristovich and Councillor Rob Bapard. From the Double View ward, Councillor Stephanie Proud and Councillor Elizabeth Ree. From the Hammersley ward, Councillor Chris Hatton and Councillor Carlo Perkov. From the Inglewood ward, we have Councillor Damien Judici and Councillor Daniela Iron. From the Lawley ward, we have Councillor Joe Ferrante and Councillor Suzanne Migdale. And from the Osborne ward, we have Councillor Teresa Olo. Finally, I'd like to also acknowledge the attendance of the City's Chief Executive Officer, Stefan Rodic, and the executive team. The order of business for tonight's meeting is on the screen behind me and also included in the agenda. Mr. Salents, do we have any apologies for this evening?
No, Mr. Mayor.
So I'll move on to the Mayor's report. Oh no, sorry, just for councils. That's all right. No, thank you. On behalf of Council, I'm pleased to present the City's annual report for 2024 and 2025. The annual report is a key document that reports on the progress of the City's strategic community plan, Sustainable Stirling, and the corporate business plan, which supports our vision to be a sustainable city with a local focus. It's more than just a statutory document, it's a story of the City's progress over the past financial year, showcasing our highlights and our challenges and providing a transparent account of our performance as a high-achieving local government. I'm proud to say the quality of the City's annual reports has earned the City 11 consecutive gold awards at the Australasian Reporting Awards, along with 3 consecutive Best in Sector awards. We started 2024-2025 on a high note, receiving an award for a trackless tram trial from Prime Minister Anthony Albanese at the 2024 National Awards for Local Government. An independent business case later validated our vision for an Australian-first trackless tram system to boost connectivity and support economic and housing growth. Community engagement remained a priority for the City as we continued to deepen our local connections through locally led Stirling community engagement approach. Over the 30 days of September, the City hosted a walk in each of its 30 suburbs to talk about local needs and identify local priorities with over 1,000 community members. A key outcome was the development of the top 5 local priorities for each suburb, which have been used to inform planning and budget processes for 25-26. The future of the City came into sharper focus with the release of Draft Local Planning Scheme No. 4 in October, the document that will serve as a guide for managing future growth and development in our city. Draft LPS 4 has been designed to reduce red tape and give people more clarity and certainty about development in their neighbourhoods. The end of 2024 was one of the busiest periods at the City in recent memory, with several major projects coming to fruition. The award-winning redevelopment of Stirling Leisure Inglewood has given members the largest outdoor public lap pool in the Southern Hemisphere, and the first pool in the state with cutting-edge Linksite AI-powered safety technology. Our award-winning redevelopment of Stirling Leisure Hammersley Public Golf Course, completed weeks later, turned an ageing facility into a venue with something for everyone, from an entertainment-focused driving range to a family-friendly bar and restaurant. And the Lake Gwelup Story Trail was also open in this period, sharing the history and culture of the area and promoting the critical importance of wetlands to our environment. The City continued to innovate in 2025, opening a WA first click and collect outdoor library service in Hamersley, launching a Safer Exchange site trial for users of the online marketplace in Mount Lawley, and bringing our art and history collection online. In partnership with the state government, we created new headquarters for the Stirling SES in Osborne Park, refurbished the Nollamara headquarters of the Organisation of African Communities in Western Australia, and made Mirrabooka the new home of Perth Glory, bringing one of WA's biggest sporting clubs into the multicultural heart of our city. With 170 sporting and community clubs using 55 reserves across the city, we invested in infrastructure to support these clubs and their 38,000 plus members. This included building refurbishments at Balcatta Etna Football Club, Yokine Bowling Club and Wembley Downs Tennis Club, floodlighting upgrades at Des Pemberton Reserve, Princess Wellington Reserve and Fragrant Gardens Reserve, and much more. Overall, community satisfaction with the city services and performance remained high at 91%, marking the 10th consecutive year above 90%. Despite these successes, we of course also face some challenges. Planned installation of CCTV at coastal parks was delayed in the first quarter of 25-26. In the meantime, we upgraded and expanded CCTV in other areas across the city, while providing almost $450,000 in Safer Suburbs rebates to help residents and businesses boost their security systems. We also hosted our first Community Safety Expo in 25, bringing together state and volunteer agencies to promote safety and preparedness through the community. The city's tree canopy remained largely unchanged at 12.4%, as it has for the past decade. We stepped up our efforts to protect tree canopy by strengthening the city's tree policy, introducing the significant tree register, and planting more than 55,000 trees and plants, and giving away more than 23,000 to residents. We also celebrated a major tree planting milestone. In 2008, the city set itself a goal of planting 1 million trees and shrubs by the end of 2025 and reached that a full year ahead of schedule. Economic uncertainty and cost of living pressures continue to impact residents, businesses and investors. Our council adopted a rate rise of 2.95% in the 24-25 budget, one of the lowest in the metropolitan area and well below inflation. We also endorsed our first investment attraction framework to help attract funding, deliver major projects and strengthen the reputation as a place to invest and do business. We continued to support the local economy, arts and events by distributing almost $1 million through our community grants program and around $500,000 in event sponsorships. The year finished in a very similar way to how it started, with the city being honoured at the National Awards for Local Government. This time though, we took home 3 awards, one for our community engagement, one for our redevelopment of Stirling Leisure Hamersley Public Golf Course, and one for our leadership of the Nala Jukin Healing Centre for Women and Children affected by family and domestic violence. I'm proud of all we have accomplished together in 24-25, and I want to thank our council, the CEO, executive team and officers, and of course the community for their passion and commitment as we continue to deliver our vision of being a sustainable city with a local focus. I will now hand you over to Ms Ingrid Hawkins, Director of Corporate Services, for the annual report and financial statements.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Good evening, everybody. It's lovely to see you all tonight. I have a very short presentation on the City's annual financial statements for the year ended 30th of June 2025. During the year, as you've just heard, the City delivered a diverse range of services, projects and programmes, and you will also see this a bit later on in our highlights reel. We were able to do so while increasing reserves to fund major capital projects, building on our solid financial position. In terms of the City's overall position, we have a balanced bottom line with total revenue of $318.5 million and expenditure of $371.1 million. We have $28 million transferred from our reserves to fund our projects, and the remaining amount is within our opening balance, including any carry-forward projects from the 23-24 year. With regards to our operating revenue, as was the case in 23-24, 78% is generated through general rates, security and waste charges. The other main contributor is federal and state grant funding, along with fees and charges raised by the City for leisure and aquatic facilities and commercial lease revenue. With regards to our operating expenditure, 39% of that is related to employee costs and 36% for running costs, which includes things like maintenance of our buildings, roads, footpaths and reserves, along with providing our waste services at around $46 million per year. The other main cost that you'll see there is depreciation, and that's associated with our large asset base that we hold. The city spent over 70.2 million on capital items in 24-25, with roads, drainage and footpaths accounting for about 33% of that spend, land and buildings 31%, vehicles around 13%, and our reserves and lighting around 11%. And again, that's very similar to what you would have seen in 23-24. So just to finish on my slides, I just wanted to share an illustration which you will find in the annual report, which just gives you an indication of how $100 would be spent across the city in those different areas. Now, I'm now going to ask Fiona Drummond from Ernst & Young, on behalf of the Office of the Auditor General, to brief the meeting on the Independent Auditor's Report opinion for the year ended 30th of June 2025. Thanks, Fiona.
Thanks, Ingrid. Good evening, everyone. My name is Fiona Drummond, and I'm here representing Tim Sanya, who is the Senior Financial Director of Audit, the delegate for the Auditor General. Unfortunately, he was called away on a family emergency overseas, so he sends his apologies for this evening. So I'll be presenting the Auditor General's report for the year ending 30 June 2025. So the audit of the financial report for the City of Stirling was conducted by Ernst & Young on behalf of the Office of the Auditor General under a contracted arrangement. The audit was conducted in accordance with Australian auditing standards. Having noted no significant issues on the audit, the Auditor General's audit report, which was issued on the 16th of December 2025, contained an unmodified audit opinion, or a clean opinion. As stated in the audit report, the Auditor General's opinion confirms three key aspects on the financial report: that the financial report of the City of Stirling is based on proper accounts and records. It fairly represents, in all material respects, the results of the operations of the City for the year ended 30 June 2025 and its financial position at the end of that period. And it's in accordance with the Local Government Act from 1995 and, to the extent that they are not inconsistent with the Act, Australian accounting standards. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms Hawkins, and thank you, Ms Drummond. I will now play a highlight reel of the City's achievements for the 2024-2025 financial year, full details of which are contained within the City of Stirling 2024-2025 annual report.
Thanks, Ingrid, Mr Drummond, and also Mr Rodich. Before we proceed, I'll just remind attendees there will be an opportunity for electors to ask questions or move motions in the next section on any particular item. But we will now proceed to the 24-25 annual report and financial statements. So questions or motions that are not directly related to the annual report or financial statements will be dealt with under general business later on in the meeting. So I ask you to wait if you've got questions relating to those. We haven't received any questions in advance concerning the 24-25 annual report. I have got now registration though for a couple of people. So if there's questions from anyone relating specifically to the annual report or financial statements, I'll ask you to raise your hand in a minute, but we'll start. Mr Wheeler, you've indicated that you have 3 questions. If you come up and press the button.
Good
and
evening,
just your name
Mayor.
and suburb. Thanks.
Simon Wheeler, Scarborough. Evening, Mayor Irwin, councillors, staff and members of the gallery. I have one question, Mayor Irwin. On page 85 of the annual report, under governance, it states that the standards panel did not identify any breaches during 2024 and 25. But it did, so why is that showing in the report as no breaches being reported by the standards panel?
Because there were no breaches in the financial year of 24-25.
I'm sure the standards panel decision was made in that time frame.
No, it wasn't. It was made in this financial year, Mr Wheeler.
Not in this financial year.
Have you got another question?
No, that's my only question. Thank you.
Thank you. Robin Murphy. Just your name and suburb and your question.
Robin Murphy from Currinup. Good evening, Mr Mayor and councillors. My first question relates to the annual report under the heading Safer Stirling, which reports that CCTV has been installed at the Scarborough Entertainment Precinct in response to WA Police concerns and at Trig Beach car parks to provide improved surveillance and safety for the community. The City and Council must acknowledge that community safety would be equally concerning along an 850-metre long boardwalk through steep sand dunes between Scarborough and Trig Beach, particularly at night. Is the installation of CCTV and operating costs for surveillance and security on the proposed coastal boardwalk and its 6 lookouts included in the $25 million construction cost estimate by the City's consultants? If not, what would the estimated cost be to install and monitor CCTV along the proposed 850-metre long boardwalk?
Thank you for that question, and we can respond to you in writing about that. The current council motion is for it to progress to a 15% design, where the cost and what will be provided along the boardwalk would be provided back to council at a future date.
The annual report under the heading Our Leadership states that a 10-year record of 184 electors attended the 2025 Electors General Meeting last year. The large number of people attending, not all of whom were electors, was because it was widely known that there would be debate on the proposed coastal boardwalk from Scarborough to Trig Beach, which was announced by the Mayor on Channel 9 in May 2024 and included without debate in the Corporate Business Plan 2024 to 2028. I note that no mention is made in the annual report of the over 200 questions for council from the public gallery in opposition to the boardwalk in the year ended the 30th of June 2025. This surely must also be a record. Does the council regard the polarisation, division and conflict that the coastal boardwalk proposal has caused in the community as conforming with the key result area of the City of Stirling, being an inclusive and harmonious city, as described on page 100 of the annual report?
I'm not sure how to respond to that. Look, there was a lot of interest, as you recall, at last year's EGM. The boardwalk is currently a resolution of council to progress to a 15% design and had significant community consultation.
Bushfire management in bushland areas reported on page 128 of the annual report includes the Tree Bushland Sector 6, of which is the highly protected 13-hectare remnant Quindulut coastal dunes system between Scarborough and Trigg Beach. Given that a boardwalk, the length of the coastal dune reserve between Scarborough and Trigg Beach, would enable unrestricted public access to the currently protected and fenced vegetated sand dunes, including a threatened ecological community of non-fire resistant Rottnest pines, has the cost of bushfire risk management for the South Trigg Beach Class A Reserve been included in the estimated cost of $25 million for a coastal boardwalk? If not, why not? And has there been an estimated costing for ongoing bushfire management in the reserve?
Thank you for that question. And again, the boardwalk is currently undergoing its 15% design and any further approvals which would be required before it comes back to council for a decision. Thank you. Are there any questions relating to the annual report? Yeah. We'll just start in the front here. Yes, if you'd like to come up. Thank you. Just your name and suburb.
Reese Barrett, Karrinyup. Good evening, everyone. My first question relates to an energy smart city. The report outlines the introduction of a community emissions profile and successful city initiatives informing and supporting community contribution to emissions reduction. One example of that has been the good work or the support given to a small group of ratepayers that we received to incorporate and form Sustainable Stirling Community Inc. So I'd like to thank the City of Stirling for that support. Currently, this group is partnering with Electrify Mount Lawley to pilot a community cooperative approach to replacing hot water systems with electric-powered heat pumps. A workshop's going to be held in Nollamara on the 18th of April to announce the package negotiated and savings. And this community-led self-help approach would not be possible without the previous support of Stirling, so I thank you for that. Is it correct that in the city's most recent internal restructure, the dedicated sustainability unit has been disbanded and the community energy position removed? And if so, what was the reason for the change, the risk analysis and mitigation strategies?
Thank you. Mr. Murphy.
Through Mr. Chair. That's not entirely correct. The sustainability team has been repurposed. There's been no positions lost. It's just an operational change where people have been moved into different units. So there's no position lost in that recent change.
Is there still a community energy position?
Thank you. Mr. Murphy.
Through Chair. The staff are still there. They're still doing the same work. They're just in a different structure. So yes.
Okay.
Can I just also highlight the main reason for the change in sustainability was to ensure it doesn't get pigeonholed in just looking after particularly trees, etc. It's an organisation right across the whole organisation.
Okay. Council has set a clear and commendable target of net zero emissions by 2030, with good progress achieved. However, a major challenge for councils around the world is the reduction of emissions from waste collection vehicles. Good progress is being made in cities like Los Angeles, USA, and Nagpur in India by combining practical steps like route optimisation, transitional fuels, and gradual electrification of waste collection fleets. Does Council intend to develop a staged plan similar to this to address the challenge with measurable milestones along the way? And if so, when and how will it be communicated to ratepayers?
Mr. Murphy.
Thanks for the question, through you, Mr. Chair. There are no specific plans. It is a rapidly changing market. If you follow what the city's done, we've made huge strides with our light fleet in transition to electric vehicles, and waste trucks are one of the future targets that we need to resolve. The market is limited, but it is developing rapidly, so we constantly keep an eye on the market, changes all around the world. We're pretty confident in the future we'll have some alternatives to the traditional diesel waste truck.
So am I correct then in assuming that there isn't such a plan developed yet? It's in the process.
Mr Murphy?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair. There is no specific plan, that's correct.
Okay. My second question relates to a biodiverse city. Community consultation on the Council's excellent climate change adaptation plan is mentioned on page 186. That is, it's planned as part of the strategic community plan engagement during 2025. But members of our group, Sustainable Stirling Community, participated in that engagement, and we believe it did not consult on the adaptation plan. The only mention of climate change was in being asked to rank one strategy that related to adapting climate change impact on biodiversity, but that was amongst 46 other strategies. Climate adaptation will affect every household in this city. For example, Gunther Salinger, a leading figure in Allianz Insurance, was quoted recently as saying, "Without insurance, which is already being pulled in some places, many other financial services become unviable, from mortgages to investments." So my question is, given the evidence that climate change mitigation and adaptation is already a significant public health, financial, economic and environmental issue, and that community education and engagement improves well-being and emergency response through empowering citizens, why has Council chosen not to engage ratepayers and residents directly on its climate change adaptation plan?
Mr Murphy?
Through you, Chair. Thanks for the question. That's a difficult question. There's a lot of information in your question. I'm going to have to take that on notice and provide an answer in writing. But thanks for the question.
So we're happy to be in contact with you and give you more. We'll give some more information in writing, but also happy to take your comments and get in contact with you about that.
Okay. Another question related to the climate change declaration. Apparently, Council did sign the Wolga Climate Change Declaration back in 2013. Yet last year stated in this meeting it prefers action over what it described as virtue signalling. Other WA councils such as Melville and Bunbury are successfully using that same declaration as a framework to actively engage their communities in climate adaptation planning. Can the Council explain why it isn't using this existing commitment to involve the community in climate adaptation planning, and has it sought advice on future legal and financial risks for ratepayers of not doing so?
No, and those comments were last year regarding a statement at Council. I still stand by that. I don't believe Council making a statement without any framework that sits behind it is the way to go. This Council has done a lot of work in terms of its climate adaptation risk management plans, and I believe that has a framework that this Council is leading the sector in that. But we're happy to take your comments and do some investigation on what those other councils are doing.
Thank you. If I could just add, Chair, that the point is really about, it's not saying that Council's not doing anything. It's saying that Council's missing an opportunity by not engaging more fully the community in its planning.
Yes. No, I understand that, and that's why I did say we'll get in contact with you and understand more about what you're getting at with that question.
Okay. Regarding the urban canopy target, page 187, Council has indicated that it can't control canopy loss on private land and will focus on council-managed land. However, other WA councils, including Vic Park, Coburn and Swan, have already introduced planning policies to protect trees on private land. Evidence shows that canopy loss on private land significantly outweighs any gains that are made on public land. This is a public health environmental issue. Without addressing canopy protection on private land, the modest target of 18% by 2040 is unachievable. Given that most canopy loss is occurring on private land, how does Council expect to achieve its 18% canopy target by 2040 without introducing similar measures?
Thank you for that. I'll see if Mr Johnson can give you a summary.
Excuse me, through you, Mr Mayor. It is absolutely, it's a significant challenge for us. We are observing the other local governments and how they have put in place these policies to see how effective they are. We are consciously working really hard on adding a lot of tree planting to our city managed land. The actual details of that I'm happy to provide in further writing to you, but it's a difficult challenge for us, but we're doing our best with what we can on managed land.
And finally, a waste-wise city. Page 194, the city is actively exploring alternative waste treatment options to increase resource recovery and reduce landfill use, including FOGO. In 24-25, COS, or City of Stirling, diverted 42% of municipal waste from landfill, a decline of 1% on the previous year, and a decline of 14% since 2020-21, and 25% below the statewide target of 67%. So 9 months into the current 25-26 reporting year, is that trend likely to be reversed? What strategies are being implemented by Council? And does Council intend to develop a staged plan to address this challenge with measurable milestones along the way? And if so, how will that be communicated to ratepayers?
Thank you. Mr Murphy?
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor. You are correct about the targets. We're not achieving the targets that we'd like to achieve, and there are two major pieces of work that we're doing. One is FOGO. You've talked about that, food organics and garden organics. We're not a council that's yet adopted that as part of our our service, but we are about to undertake a trial in Culbinia. So starting in May, there was a council motion and decision to begin a trial in Culbinia. So that'll be beginning shortly, and that'll give us some important learnings that could be taken forward. The second thing is we're looking for alternatives for landfill. That's quite a long journey. There are other opportunities now available on the market. Those opportunities are to some extent confidential because they relate to contracts in the market, but we are pursuing opportunities to divert our large tonnage away from landfill. And by doing those two things, we would achieve the statewide targets.
Thank you for your questions. Is there any other questions? Yes.
Sorry, Mayor Owen, Simon Wheeler Scarborough again. Just to clarify, is October 2024 part of the financial statement reporting, 2024, 2025?
Yes.
It is, okay. So on the 10th of October 2024, the Local Government Standards Panel found that Mayor Irwin had indeed breached Regulation 18 and Regulation 34D of the Local Government Act. So you're saying that, are you suggesting that the Standards Panel did not inform the city that that finding had been made?
Mr Salens?
Through you, Mr Mayor. The requirements in terms of the annual report are the details that are placed in the complaints register. The complaints register was only updated on the 11th of February 2026, so therefore the details that were placed in the complaints register will be accounted for in the 25-26 annual report.
Okay, then I suggest there needs to be some changes to the wording there, because it specifically states on page 85 the Standards Panel did not identify any breaches during that time, and the Standards Panel did identify breaches during that time. So just a thought. Thank you.
Thank you. Is your name and suburb and your questions?
Good evening, Roland Hadley, Woodlands. Ratepayers note 7 councillors attended the Australian Local Government National General Assembly in Canberra in July 24 at a cost of $31,700 approximately. This annual event, some say junket, is being held again in June this year, I believe. The motion proposed here is a maximum of 2 councillors only attend this event, and this would also apply to other popular conferences. Other councillors...
Sorry, are you proposing a motion at the moment?
I am indeed, yes.
Yeah, so it's the wrong time of the meeting, so I'll get you back up later if that's right. These are particularly just questions relating to the annual report.
Well, this is part of the annual report, is it not?
Yes, you're allowed to do the question. Continue.
Thank you. This will also apply to other popular conferences. Councillors can follow a lot of these conferences meetings on live stream, therefore saving some of the ratepayers' money in the city of choice. Thank you. That was my motion and question combined. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any questions relating to the annual report? Otherwise, we'll get you up later for those. Any further questions? So if I can just remind everyone in attendance that each elector who is present is entitled to 1 vote on each vote that we have this evening, whether it's a motion or will be a motion. So you're entitled to 1 vote. I'll ask you for, and you just raise a hand nice and clearly, and then against. We don't need numbers, we just need to know for or against. If it is close, we can work out another way. We'll probably get you to stand up and we'll count them. But what we'll do is we'll start with this one before we go to the electors' motions, and this is a draft motion that will be put up, which is to accept the annual report and financial statement. So it's shown on the screen, and it reads that the 24-25 City of Stirling annual report incorporating the 24-25 annual financial statements and the 24-25 auditors' report be accepted. So can I get a mover, please, for that? Councillors can move. Thank you, Councillor Kristovich. Is there a... Thank you. And just your... John Evans. Thank you. John Evans? Don Evans. Thank you. And is there a seconder for that motion? Thank you. And just say your name out nice and loud for the... Marg Bond. Marg Bond. Thank you. All those in favour? Just hands nice and high. Thank you. And against? Thank you. That motion is carried. It's probably an appropriate time if I can just make a brief statement, and that is just to sincerely thank the CEO, Stephen Roddick, who's led the process, Michelle Walsencroft and your amazing team from Strategy and Performance, Simone Holmes-Kavanagh and the rest of the marketing team who helped put it together on their work and on the annual report, but also just across the whole organisation, the amount of work that does go into providing the information and the documentation to allow the reporting to happen. A big thank you on behalf of Council. We'll now move to general business, and I declare the meeting open for the general business. Again, should an attendee move a motion, you will need a seconder for that. If you've got one, get them prepped so they put their hand up and call their name out. Otherwise, I'll point if someone indicates. If you are moving, what I'll ask is that you stand up, come forward, and then let us know your name and suburb and what your motion is. Obviously, you are allowed to ask questions during this time as well. We'll obviously make every endeavour to answer your questions this evening. However, in instances where a more detailed response is required, it will be provided to you in writing. If you have questions and also wish to move a motion, perhaps if I can ask you to do your questions first and then finish with the motion, that would be a good way to go. We have received some in advance, so we'll invite these people forward. Marnie Harrington, if you'd like to come forward, if you're here. Thank you. So I think you've got questions to start with. So your name and suburb and then your question.
Marnie Harrington from Inglewood. Thank you, council members, executive and staff for having us here and letting us speak and giving us your time. I'm the first of 3 speakers, so and we'll have a motion at the end as well. So question number 1, is the City of Stirling able to confirm whether the verge tree currently located adjacent to 49B and 49C John Street, Inglewood, is recorded as an authorised planting, and whether the Eucalyptus grandis is listed as an approved species under the City's current verge planting guidelines?
Thank you. Mr Johnson.
Through you, Mr Mayor, and thank you for your question. While our records do not provide any evidence as to who historically planted the tree, mapping has indicated that the tree was planted in the early 1990s, along with a few others in the street. Since 2009, the tree has been assigned an asset ID and has been managed by the City since. In regard to specifically the question on the species of Eucalyptus grandis, we do not have a set species list. It does evolve as the climate and conditions evolve as well. And so often the species selection list does change very regularly.
Thank you. Your next question.
How many formal written requests for the removal of the verge tree adjacent to 49B and 49C John Street have been received by the City? Over what period of time and on what grounds has each request been declined?
Thank you. Mr Johnson.
Through you, Mr Mayor, according to our records, since 2010, the City has received a number of cases regarding this tree. Of these cases, 4 included requests to remove the tree, and these were dated between 2023 and 2026. The City has not received an arborist report to date that has determined the tree structurally unsafe and recommended for removal.
Thank you. Your third question.
Thank you. Has the City of Stirling notified Main Roads or any other relevant road authority of the documented instances of limb dropping from the verge tree onto John Street carriageway?
Thank you. Mr Johnson.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the John Street Road Reserve is a City of Stirling controlled land, and there would be no requirement or purpose for the City to notify Main Roads WA.
Right, thank you very much.
Thank you for your questions. We have Lana Casagrande. Thank you. Your name and suburb to start, and then your questions.
Hi, I'm Lana Casagrande from Inglewood, and thanks for having us tonight. Question 1 is regarding cumulative cost accounting. Can the City advise whether it has ever conducted a cumulative cost analysis of the total expenditure attributable to the verge tree at 49B and 49C John Street, Inglewood, including contractor costs such as pruning and arborist assessments, City employee costs such as attendance and for limb clearance and admin of community complaints, infrastructure repair costs, including road and stormwater drains and insurance claims, and if so, what is the total cost to ratepayers?
Mr Johnson.
Through you, Mr Mayor, there's been no completed analysis of the items you've raised tonight.
Okay, next question is, in assessing the multiple requests for the removal of the verge tree at 49B and C John Street, has the City relied solely on arboricultural opinion, or has it at any point commissioned an independent work health and safety assessment of the risks posed by the tree to occupants of the adjacent properties, pedestrians and roads users on John Street?
Mr Johnson.
Through you, Mr Mayor, a quantified tree risk assessment by an arborist has been the only risk assessment completed, and this considers both potential harm to property and people.
Last question regarding the tree appeal panel composition. Can the City confirm the composition of the tree appeal panel, including whether all panel members are employed by or engaged under contract to the City of Stirling, and whether any independent members, that is, persons with no employment, contractual or financial relationship with the City, currently sit on the panel?
Okay. Mr Johnson.
Through you, Mr Mayor, the most recent tree appeals panel comprised of the Acting Manager of Parks and Environment, a senior City officer, in this case was the Manager of Planning, and a contracted consulting arborist. All panel members must disclose either their financial or impartiality interest in the case prior and in writing to the Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Yong Lei? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, Mr. Mayor, councillors, elected members, staff, and also electors here. Thank you for your time. I just wanted to follow up with the question from Mr. Thompson based on the response that he just provided then regarding
just through me, I'll direct the question.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
Regarding the tree species not being, the Eucalyptus grandis not being on a species list right now, would the city plant that particular species right now on a tree verge, even though there is not a specific list in this current day and context with what is known?
Mr. Johnson?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, no, we wouldn't.
Would not, correct? Okay. Sorry, just 1 second. I just need to pull up my questions. Okay. Thank you. So my questions are independence and perceived impartiality of the Tree Appeal Panel. Given that the Tree Appeal Panel reviews decisions made by the city's own delegated officers, and all panel members are employed by or engaged by the City of Stirling, does the city consider the panel to be sufficiently independent to provide impartial review of those decisions, and how does the city justify that the perceived impartiality of the panel meets the standards expected of a fair and independent review mechanism under the Local Government Act of 1995?
Thank you. I'll get Mr. Johnson to answer.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, all staff and contractors are required to act in accordance with the city's code of conduct and relevant legislation. In a case where the chair, the manager, Parks and Environment, has had prior detailed knowledge of the case, they will recuse themselves from the process and appoint another senior Parks and Environment officer to chair the panel. And again, we must disclose either our financial or impartiality interests throughout the process.
Thank you. And your next question?
Okay, next question. Council's direct authority to approve removal. In circumstances where a verge tree presents documented and repeated safety hazards, including limb dropping onto public road carriageways, obstruction of vehicle sightlines from residential driveways, does the city consider that the council, as the elected governing body, has the authority under the Local Government Act of 1995 and the city's tree policies to direct the removal of that tree without requiring the matter to first be referred to the Tree Appeal Panel? And if so, under what circumstances would council exercise that authority directly, and how many occasions has this occurred?
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, council is unable to act as an appeals body, noting this is an operational matter. However, the policy does not prevent council from making a determination in lieu of the delegate. Since the City Trees policy was last updated and adopted by council in October 2024, there's been no cases where council made a determination outside the Tree Appeals Panel process.
Reform of the Tree Appeal Panel. Would the city consider amending the composition of the Tree Appeal Panel to include at least 2 independent members, such as a qualified work health and safety professional, a structural engineer or legal practitioner with awareness of health and safety laws, as well as liability and civil liability laws, rather than an arborist, and backtrack again, or a legal practitioner with no employment or contractual relationship with the City of Stirling, that to ensure that the residents have access to a genuinely independent review mechanism when raising documented safety concerns about a city-managed tree.
Mr. Johnson?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there is no intention to change the composition of the Tree Appeals Panel. The panel is to review the work, reports and processes and make a recommendation to the Director of Infrastructure.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I have a motion.
Yes. Happy for you to put your motion now.
So there is a background here. I'll read this as well. The city-managed tree adjacent to 49B and 49C John Street is an unauthorised planting of the Eucalyptus grandis, as Mr. Thompson said, that a species that would not be planted today in this context and situation. Despite multiple formal written removal requests, delegated officers have repeatedly declined to act. The matter has never been placed before elected members. The tree presents the following documented and ongoing hazards: vehicle sightline obstruction from residential driveways, a recognised ground for a removal under Section 3.3 of the City Trees Policy, repeated limb drops onto occupied private courtyards, a serious risk of injury or fatality, repeated limb drops onto John Street, a foreseeable risk of death, injury or vehicle damage to road users, root damage to fencing, paving, road, asphalt, drainage and potential building foundations, insurance claims lodged by the affected party owners, and a cumulative cost burden to ratepayers that has never been quantified or placed before council. The matter warrants direct determination by the elected members, not by delegated officers alone. So, Mr. Mayor, my motion is that the council determine that the outcome of the recommendation for removal of the city-managed verge tree at 49B and 49C John Street, Inglewood, at the next ordinary council meeting and be provided with a comprehensive report addressing the following. One,
So I'll leave it. Can we leave it there? I don't know if we need to read through all of that again, because
Okay.
I think you've just explained all that, and I'm pretty sure you've got your seconder lined up anyway.
Yep, that's fine.
So, so we're happy to take that as a motion. Is your seconder, which one is your seconder? So is that Marnie Harrington? Yep. As a seconder, that motion is up there. So I'll call on electors now. Who is for that motion, please raise your hand. Thank you. And against? Your motion is carried, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we now have some others that are listed. I'll ask you, Mr. Hadley, if you come back up, you can put that motion now if you've got a question or motions.
Basically, the motion proposed is a maximum of 2 councillors only attend this event in Canberra, and this would also apply to other popular conferences. The reason why is that basically councillors can follow most of these conferences on live stream, and hopefully it'll save the city of Joyce a lot of money. And my seconder is Margaret Bond here. Yes, we do.
No pressure. And that motion is put, so I'll ask a show of hands to accept that motion, please. Thank you. And against? That motion is carried. We'll now go to Robin Murphy. Have you got a motion, or was that just... Yes.
Yes.
Sorry, you look surprised then.
Oh, well, it's just that I hadn't registered it, so I didn't know that you knew that I was having... pardon me. My motion is the electors of the City of Stirling call upon the council to not approve or commit further expenditure over and above the $500,000 already spent on a coastal boardwalk between Scarborough and Tree Beach.
Thank you. And is there a seconder? I'm sure you've got a seconder somewhere. Thank you. Mike Masiello. And a show of hands, please, to support if you're for that motion. Thank you. And against? There you go. Your motion is carried.
Thank you.
Mike Masiello. Thank you. Just your name and suburb.
It's Mike Masiello, Trig. Good evening, Mayor, Councillors, Executive Team and the public gallery. My questions relate to the Safer Stirling objective of the annual report and shaping our future Stirling. Future Stirling identified community safety as a #1 priority in terms of importance to city ratepayers. Residents are concerned about safety, crime, prevention, with calls for increased frequency and visibility of security patrols, especially for hotspot areas. Although safety is the #1 priority for ratepayers, the city's annual report reveals a 7% reduction in satisfaction with community safety services in the 25 financial year. The city is not delivering on ratepayers' #1 concern, safety. The Scarborough entertainment area has been highlighted as a hotspot area for the city in the annual report, rife with antisocial behaviour, violence, stabbings, drug and alcohol-related crimes. My first question. I can see through the annual report that police expressed their concerns due to lack of CCTV coverage in the area, and the city has moved to expand CCTV around Manning Street, Scarborough, coastal car parks at Scarborough and Trigg, and the Clarko Reserve. What is the total cost of the installation of CCTV at the Scarborough entertainment area, coastal car parks and Clarko Reserve? As part of this response, can you please tell me how many cameras are installed in these areas and what is the annual cost of monitoring this combined CCTV surveillance network?
Thank you for that question, and we will respond to you in writing with all those details.
My second question. I've lived in the Trigg Scarborough area for 24 years. In the last 12 months, I've noticed a significant increase in rough sleeping in the South Trigg area. There are tents and swags in the Trigg bushland and people sleeping under the West Coast Highway underpass. In the last 6 months, I've seen multiple homeless now living within the Trigg Beach Reserve, the site of the proposed boardwalk. While some of these individuals are looking for a place to sleep, many are involved with crime, indecent exposure and drug use, as I've seen firsthand. The annual report highlights the city can't keep up with the growing demand for security services, and it's obvious the city is under-resourcing these services. How does the city respond to ratepayers' safety concern, the number one priority for ratepayers? The city's response is to spend millions in ratepayer dollars investigating a walkway through a dark, isolated reserve. This walkway would be away from the passive surveillance of houses and cars and connect multiple crime hotspots, the Scarborough entertainment area and Trigg car parks, where you've just spent X amount of thousands installing CCTV. This would traverse a reserve in which now multiple homeless are living. Please explain how building this $25 million structure aligns with future Stirling's and stands to provide benefit to the broader community, where 33% of the ratepayers are calling for community safety as their number one priority, and where attracting visitors, which is the main purpose of the proposed boardwalk, is one of the lowest priorities at 3%.
Thank you for that question. It's probably a tenuous relationship with a couple of those items. I'll get Mr Quirk to provide some information on the how securities are funded and where they're at.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thank you for the questions. Mr Masiello, look, I would probably echo the Mayor's comment just there. You're certainly bringing a few elements of the annual report and connecting them to the coastal boardwalk. You are right that community safety is one of the highest priorities for our community, and we expend quite a lot of budget in that area, and we deliver a good service, 24/7 security service, a ranger service. We do have an extensive CCTV network, including in our entertainment precincts, and we do have a close working relationship with the WA Police. So I would argue that the city has a high level of community safety services, and we provide those very effectively across the entire city. Homelessness itself is a complex issue. It's not a community safety issue, it's a social issue. There is increasing homelessness across the entire state, let alone the Perth metropolitan area. And yes, we do have a number of hotspots within the city of Stirling. We work in collaboration with the Department of Communities and organisations like Uniting WA to try and connect those people to services where we can. That isn't always possible, and at that point in time, community safety or WA Police may intervene. So, Mr Masiello, while many of those comments you've made are accurate, the city is aware of them, we respond to them effectively. Whether they have any connection to the coastal boardwalk would be over to your opinion.
Thank you. My last question. Coincidentally, the city of Wanneroo tonight is debating potentially closing the Mindari Marina Boardwalk at night. Residents state the closure is needed to address the persistent and escalating crime and antisocial behaviour on the boardwalk, issues which have been causing the city issues for 5 years. The city is investigating options such as fencing, electric gates and increased patrols. What seemed to be a brilliant idea at the time is becoming an ongoing issue for the council and community. There is a saying, smart people learn from other people's mistakes. What can the city, considering they're investigating a $25 billion boardwalk through an isolated dark reserve, learn from the significant issues the City of Wanneroo is now facing with their boardwalk?
Thank you for that. We're not aware of any issues they're facing, but we'll take that on board.
I'd just like to move a motion. I understand that the 15% design is being currently done for the proposed boardwalk. So this motion, I'm not after specific costs, just based on the city's estimates. The motion is, I call upon the council to request that the city, as part of the boardwalk feasibility study, to provide for public and councillor perusal by no later than the 30th of June 2026, a brief report that provides projected initial and annual ongoing operating costs of the proposed boardwalk, including but not limited to CCTV installation and monitoring, rubbish collection, lighting, install and operating, ongoing security patrols, fire prevention strategies, revegetation over a 10-year or the initial 10-year period, watering requirements for the vegetation over the initial 10-year period, and bushfire management. Someone that...
Second it. Robin Murphy, I'm sure he's right behind you there. Okay, that motion is put, so I will ask all those in favour to raise your hand, please. Thank you. All those against? Your motion is carried. Thank you. Can I ask also, if you're moving a motion like that, can you just maybe hand the paperwork in to us? It'll just make it easier for staff. Yeah, great. Thanks. Yeah, or email it through tomorrow. Thank you. Margaret Bond. Thank you. Just your name and suburb.
Margaret Bond, Scarborough. Good evening, Mr Mayor, councillors, staff and electors. The City of Stirling is aware there's an acute parking problem at Scarborough and Trigg beachfronts. I raised a motion at the EGM in March 2025 that the City engage an independent parking specialist as part of the boardwalk feasibility study. 12 months later, all car parks, verges, surrounding streets are still more than at capacity. There's also a pedestrian safety issue. The CAT bus and Wayfinder has not eased the problem. Reality check, the proposed boardwalk will exacerbate the problem, not relieve it, when visitors arrive to find car parks full. Mr Mayor, your written response to my question of the 24th of March 25 was, quote, "We are investigating other areas to put public car parking in." Tonight, Mr Mayor, my question, in 12 months, what decision have you made, when and where, to build additional beachside car parking before embarking on the environmentally flawed boardwalk project?
Thank you. Council hasn't made a decision on any more car parking.
Thank you. Next question. On the 11th of November 2025, I asked a similar parking question, including, are you considering new car parks? Your written response, I quote, "There is no plans at this stage to build new car parks," and quote, "The proposed coastal boardwalk will enable visitors to park in one precinct and safely and conveniently access the other on foot." You are not addressing the existing problem. There's no parking available. Building a boardwalk with no parking lacks merit, vision, and a total waste of money. My question is, how do you propose the boardwalk visitors to park in Trigg car park, which is full to capacity?
Thank you for that question. Certainly on, if you go down there when there's events at Trigg and Scarborough, both car parks are full. But on a Thursday night, or quite often at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, etc., there's about 400 to 500 empty bays at Trigg that are available.
I won't respond to that because it doesn't sound pleasant. To assist in finding parking in the Scarborough to Trigg car parks, Wayfinder was installed in early 25. Wayfinding is about staying orientated. I did raise the inaccuracy of Wayfind at a previous council meeting on the 11th of November 25 and was advised it would be attended to. 3 months later, it still malfunctions. Signs regularly indicate spaces available, example 100 plus, with none to be found. This data is inaccurate and flawed. A concern is the flawed data is being used by council that there is not a parking problem, hence the car parking complacency. My question is, will City of Stirling commission someone who actually knows how to calibrate this equipment? And if yes, why is it so inaccurate and feeding false data on car parking availability?
Thank you for that question. I'll get Mr Quirk to provide some response on that. I can assure you the data isn't being used for anything that we are proposing.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thank you for the question, Ms Bond. Look, as per your previous question, it has taken longer than we would have liked to ensure that the parking wayfinding technology is accurately picking up the number of bays that are available. It is a really difficult site to use parking wayfinding at, and we knew that when we installed it. It's not like a shopping centre where there's simply one exit and one entry. There are multiple entry points to the precinct, which is why it took a little bit of time to get the programming right. We've been working really hard over the last few weeks and months. I've personally been down there each week to try and get a gauge of whether the numbers are accurate, and they're now pretty close. So it is an important tool. Parking in Scarborough is a really difficult issue to address. There is no public land available to simply build more car parks. So we need to work on a number of different strategies, one of them being behaviour change. So we need people to understand when they get to the precinct, whether it's the county's right to the absolute number, if it's full, if it's showing that there's very few bays there, that is not the time to enter the precinct because the likelihood is there will be congestion. So whilst I understand your concerns about parking wayfinding, it is an important tool amongst others that the city will be using to try and get this parking issue under control. I recognise the issues with parking wayfinding. We think we've addressed it. That data has not been utilised for any purposes as yet. Now that it is accurately counting, we'll get a better understanding of the data, and that'll help inform future decision making.
Much appreciated.
Thank you. Carmel Charlton. Thank you. Just your name and suburb and then your question.
Carmel Charlton, Woodlands. Thank you for the opportunity. I notice an increase in short stay accommodation. What security and safety measures does the city take to protect residents from noise late at night and disruptive behaviour? Are community patrols available late at night and to be able to contact them? If not, perhaps community patrols need to be given more funding so they can attend to complaints. Otherwise, it's the residents' word against the short stay people. So, in other words, it's going to be difficult to contact the community patrol at the time of the incident or the disruptive behaviour.
Thank you. So I'll start with Ms Lombardo just about the legislation around short stay accommodation and then answer your security. I'll get Mr Quirk to answer the security part of that.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. So thank you for the question. Where there's a short stay accommodation and it's been approved, there are enforcement options through that development approval. So ordinarily there'd be a condition requiring an operational management plan. So that tackles things like noise and parking. If a short stay isn't complying with that, then that needs to be brought to the officer's attention so we can make sure that we're managing that with the operator. From a planning perspective, that's how we tackle that. And from a noise perspective, there's separate legislation that deals with noise.
Thank you. Mr Quirk.
Through you, Mr Mayor, thank you for the question. So our community security service is 24/7, so you can contact them at any point in time. Again, depending on the nature of the issue and the priorities at that point in time will dictate if and when the patrol service will respond, but we do have a 24/7 service. So in response to your question about them not being contactable, they will always be contactable.
Okay, otherwise it would be just like our word against the short stay people if they're not able to be contacted right at that time. Yeah.
Thank you. If you leave your details with our governance staff before you leave, we'll make
Thank
sure
you.
someone gets in contact with you and goes through, because there's quite strict legislation around the development approval now for the short stay in terms of being able to contact them in the first instance.
Okay.
But then we can also give you the process to follow.
Thank you.
That's right. That's all I have written down. I'm assuming that everyone hasn't come just to watch, so there could be some others. So we'll start over here. That's it. And then we'll work our way through. Just your name and suburb.
Don Evans, resident of Woodlands, and thank you, Mr Mayor and councillors, for giving me the time to speak. It's the first time I've actually stepped into council to, say a little bit of what I have in my heart. So there's no prepared speech. It's basically head and heart, and it relates to the boardwalk plans. And as someone who's lived in the area for 60 odd years and 7 grandchildren, and Trigg Island is my beach of favour, as is Scarborough and Brighton. I love those areas, and I've had the pleasure of now taking grandchildren down there and walking the strip from Scarborough to Trigg, and a healthy little walk it is. But every time I looked at WA when I travelled, it was like, when are we going to wake up and become a part of the world? Because we're a growing state. We have 3 million people now who are domiciled in our state, and we have people wanting to come in and visit this great state. And the things that I noticed were, we weren't in touch with tourism, we weren't in touch with development, and finally we woke up and we started building things on Rottnest Island and making it a place that all these people want to come and visit. And all of us who are proud West Australians now go there, and we can eat, drink and enjoy with our families, and the bays are there, it's pristine, it's beautiful, policing, safety's great, and we have the same strip that I call the Sunset Strip, or call it Sunset Boulevard, between Scarborough and Trigg, that has been underutilised for the potential that we have in this great state to make that strip one of the best strips of land where people can go and enjoy our sunsets from around the world and from locals. I feel sorry for the locals who may have issues with safety, with crime and that sort of thing, and parking. I hear all those things, but as a resident and having full faith in a council here that's been very, very productive and doing things to improve our ward, our Stirling region, I can only encourage you to keep going, and any problems that arise, work through them. That's all I've got to say, but this is for the benefit of my 7 grandchildren, who I want to enjoy that lovely view that I've enjoyed all my life without having any fear of people sort of saying, no, we want this kept as just grassland. It's a waste. So that's my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. We'll just go over here in the yellow. Yep. Thank you. Just your name and suburb.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Christine Stanton. I'm from Woodlands. Mayor, councillors and ratepayers. I attended the first council meeting I'd ever attended, I think, beginning of this year, and I had a request from a lot of people from the Scarborough Gym to request that some safety and amenity be attended to at the Scarborough Gym. This was about the 6th, I think, of February. On the 10th of February, I received a letter from the council to tell me that, as you put it, this has been forwarded to the Recreation Leisure Services Business Unit for their consideration and action. And I was just wondering when I can expect some consideration and action, because I constantly get asked every time I walk into the gym, what's happening?
We might get Mr. Cameron to come forward. He's on his toes. There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through the chair, the risk assessment was completed last week following the site visit to the gym at Scarborough Leisure Centre, and I'm just waiting on the recommendations of that report before we take any further action in terms of equipment placement and any other matters relating to client and staff safety.
So next week? Yep. Well, and we'll organise a meeting with you catch up and go through it with you.
I'm sorry, the name of the gentleman?
Mr Cameron, Shane
Mr.
Cameron,
And title?
Manager of Recreation Leisure Services, or something close to that.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Just a show of hands if there is anyone else. Yes, Robin Murphy. Thought you'd already been up.
Thank
Up
you.
and down.
Mayor Irwin, Robin Murphy from Karrinyup. Under the heading Coastal Adaptation in the annual report, the fourth sand replenishment at Mettham's Pool to preserve beach amenity and reduce the impact of coastal erosion describes harvesting sand from Trigg Beach for this purpose. I note that the cost of the annual sand nourishment at Mettham's Pool is around $350,000 a year, with a total of around $2.5 million over 10 years. The fifth sand nourishment was conducted today with an excavator and 3 large trucks working at South Trigg Beach and Mettham's Pool. Is the city aware of published research by Professor Vic Semenyuk and others about the different composition of sand along the coast and the problems for the future of indiscriminately shifting sand from one part of the coast to another, causing compositional mixing? And is it time for the city to recognise that climate change, warming oceans and extreme weather may mean some beaches are no longer accessible, and that all ratepayers and taxpayers should no longer be expected to repeatedly fund unsuccessful sand replenishment at Mettham's Pool?
Thank you for that. I'll see if Mr Guillemot wants to discuss the sand compositions.
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. Prior to undertaking any sand nourishment works, we do seek opinions and views of coastal engineering experts that have greater specialties in those areas. The advice that we have received isn't that the sand is incompatible from Trigg to Mettham's. So while that advice is current, we will continue to use that source to try and replenish Mettham's Pool. Having said that, we are looking at other offshore options of potentially sand dredging. That's in its early stages at this stage, but I can say that the city is working in collaboration with a number of other councillors to look at alternative sources of sand to replenish our beaches.
Thank you. Has any study been undertaken on the impact on South Trigg Beach of the annual removal of large quantities of sand for the purposes of sand replenishment at Mettham's Pool on the vegetation at South Trigg Beach that is exposed to weather and erosion that would not occur otherwise?
Thank you. Mr Guillemot.
Through you, Mr Mayor, as I mentioned, we do seek the expert advice of independent consultants. The volume of sand that we take off at Trigg Beach is spread over a very large area, so that we are not effectively gouging sand and taking sand from one particular area. It is spread over a long area, but we're not aware of any impacts on the dunes at this stage.
My third question relating to the same subject. Did it occur to the city that given the current fuel supply crisis due to the war in the Middle East and calls by state and federal government to reduce fuel use to avoid shortages of fuel, that 3 large trucks and an excavator working at Trigg Beach to move sand to Mettham's Pool today, the 23rd of March, that this work could have been rescheduled when the supply and cost of fuel returns to normal, noting that diesel is up to $3 a litre at some bowsers in Perth?
Thank you for that question. Look, whilst the fuel supply right throughout Australia is an emerging issue, there is no current directive that in the metropolitan area that fuel supplies be conserved. So no, it wasn't taken into consideration. Margaret Bond? No. Mr Wheeler?
Mayor Owen, sorry. I've been...
Just your name and suburb, please.
Oh, sorry, Simon Wheeler, Scarborough. Mayor Owen, at the regular council meeting of 11th of November, a matter went behind closed doors to discuss the funding of your defence against the Standards Panel decision. And I've been asking some questions through an email chain from, is it Mr. Sillians?
Mr Silence?
Sorry?
Mr Silence?
Okay, I've been pronouncing it silence, but I'm told that's an old joke and you're used to it. Now, one of the questions I had was, how did that item end up on the agenda in the first place? And the answer I was given that I need to look at the policy. And I've looked at the policy, the legal representation for elected members and employees policy, and it gives me two options. One is that you could have made the application to the CEO, or that the CEO could have, off his own back, decided to put that forward. I would like to know which it is, if possible, because I'm struggling to get what I call a straight reply.
Mr Silence?
Through you, Mr Mayor, and nice to finally meet you, Mr Wheeler. It was actually in my response to you that a report was requested to be provided and drafted by the CEO. So following the receipt of a request from an elected member and in accordance with the policy, the CEO is required to put any requests to council for it to determine whether or not it provides legal cost recovery or otherwise.
Okay, I understand that the CEO has to, through you, Mayor, and that the CEO actually has to put it in the agenda. But from my quick reading, it looked like the original application could have come from, for instance, Mayor Owen, or it could have just come from the CEO directly. Is that incorrect? Have I read it wrong?
Mr Silence?
Through you, Mr Mayor, and not to say that you're wrong, Mr Wheeler, the fact was that...
Been said before.
No, the fact was that a request had come through in accordance with the policy, and in accordance with that policy, the CEO is required to put an item before council for it to determine. So I hope that clarifies. If I confused you, I apologise for that.
Yeah, all good, thank you. As to the application, as to the policy itself, and thank you pointing me to it, it states that to receive funding, the applicant must have, to receive funding for a defence against legal action, the applicant must have acted in good faith and not acted unlawfully or in any way that constitutes improper conduct. The problem is if the Local Government Standards Panel has already made a finding that an offence occurred of improper conduct of some description, then the applicant fails this eligibility test in the first place. The policy is designed to protect members who are performing their duties correctly, not to subsidise those found to have breached standards. Do you not find that problematic? Does the policy not need looking at again? I mean, as a ratepayer who went to the Local Government Standard Panel, I ended up paying, or potentially I ended up paying, for the defence of Mayor Owen in that particular case. That doesn't sit well with me. And obviously, elected members, all but one brave soul, didn't think about that either. Do you think there's any changes that may be required to the policy?
Mr Roddich?
Through the chair, and thanks for the question, Mr Miller. Look, that is a policy adopted by council. Council are privy to the content of that policy. That is up to council to determine the conduct of the elected member, if that was untoward or not. I take your point that the decision by the Standards Panel may point someone towards that, but in the end it's up to council to make that decision. When I receive a request from any elected member in accordance with that policy, I will prepare a report and it'll be up to council to make that decision.
Okay, fair enough. I would love to make a motion, but unfortunately I'm not 100% sure of my status as an elector at this time. If I did, it would be that the city amend the legal representation for elected members and employees policy to disallow applications where the other party is the local government standard panel or the new inspectorate or any other government department. I would understand it if it's a civil case of someone claiming defamation, but for those other things, really, I'm sorry. But I'm going to have to leave it because I don't know if I'm an elector or not at the moment.
Are you a ratepayer?
I'm a resident, and I'm sure some of my money goes towards rates. Mayor Owen.
Yes.
I would like to raise a motion that the City of Stirling amend the legal representation for elected members and employees policy to disallow applications where the other party is the local government standards panel or, moving forward, the local government inspectorate or other government-based body.
Good point. Is there a seconder for that motion? Thank you. Roland Hadley, show of hands if you accept that motion. And against, that motion is carried.
Thank you, Mayor.
Is there any other? You guys must like getting up and down.
Yeah, why waste the opportunity? Can't get enough mic time. All right, I just wanted to query your...
Just your name and suburb.
So my name is Mike Masiello from Trigg. I wanted to just get some clarification on some of your comments earlier to do with the that on any given Sunday at 10 o'clock there's 500 car bays at Trigg. Can you please provide, how that opinion has been formulated? Has there been a study done that's verified that? Is it going off the wayfinding signage? Is it your personal inspecting? I mean, yeah, just wanting to clarify that.
Yeah, thank you. It's myself. I go and check. I check the wayfinding sign and then I drive through the area to see if that matches what is apparent with empty car bays.
Yeah, so you're saying that on most weekends...
Sorry, this isn't
yeah.
Like, if you've got questions, I'm happy to take them.
On most weekends, is your opinion and the opinion of the council that there is excessive bays available at the Trigg car parks, especially on a Sunday when we've got things like the nippers on? I mean, on Sunday just gone at 10, Saturday just gone at 10 o'clock, I've got photos I can send them through that all the car bays at Trigg were actually full. I'll send you through that. So
I agree. So, but on Saturday, it was the last of the summer salt markets, which was advertised. And at the time that you noted that, there was something like 500 people doing a free yoga class on the lawn and all the markets were in full operation. So I'm not discounting it. Busy times, all the car parks are busy along those. What I'm also suggesting is that many times they're not.
Yep. And with the expected, so the economic impact assessment, a lot of the sums are based on the extra visitation in the area of being 190,000 extra visitors to bring the $3.30 ROI. Where do you expect the extra 190,000 annual visitors to park in the current infrastructure?
Thank you for that. They wouldn't park there if the car parks were full, Mr. Masiello.
So where would they park? But the return on investment is based on...
We can have a conversation. You ask a question, I'm answering the question, that's all.
Yep. I'd just like to raise a motion. I call upon the council to request that the city provide a report to council to investigate the cost of a guardrail for the 400-metre stretch of principal shared path adjacent to West Coast Highway, South Trigg, and a duplication of the underpass to improve pedestrian safety.
Thank you. Is there a seconder for that? We'll get Margaret Bond to second that, and it's a show of hands to support that. Thank you. And against? That motion is carried. Thank you. Is there any other indication for any questions? If not, I thank you very much. So thank you everyone for your questions this evening. In closing, I'd like to advise that the minutes from tonight's EGM will be finalised as soon as possible and made available on the city's website. The EGM minutes will be presented for consideration at the council meeting to be held on Tuesday the 5th of May, or by Tuesday the 5th of May 2026. Obviously there's a council meeting coming up next week, but with the timing it's more likely to be the following council meeting. Whilst non-binding on council, the motions will be presented with officers' commentary for council's consideration on what to do with those at that next meeting. I thank you again, all those that are here tonight, for your attendance. Thank you those viewers at home who are watching the meeting via the live stream. And I declare the elected general meeting closed at 7:31 p.m. Thank you again, everyone.